The crown prince rejected my confession. He said he only saw me as a little sister. I turned around and hugged the emperor's leg, crying my heart out. Father, I'm your long-lost daughter. The crown prince can vouch for me. My father couldn't stay silent anymore. He pointed at himself with his index finger. Then what am I? Oh no, I almost forgot about my dear father. I quickly changed my words. That's right. I'm the daughter of both my father and His Majesty. The crown prince and I were born on the exact same day, same year, same month. The imperial astrologers read the stars and said our destinies were intertwined, that we were a match made in heaven. The emperor believed in fate and immediately arranged a betrothal between us. My father was overjoyed. A minor official in the Ministry of Personnel suddenly becoming related to the royal family? It was like our ancestors were blessing us from their graves. But before the joy could last 2 days, the emperor withdrew the marriage decree. Apparently, the empress objected. She said arranged marriages were outdated. Children should choose their own paths in love. Good news. Our ancestors did bless us. Bad news. Only halfway. My father believed everything could be changed by hard work, and love should start from childhood. To help me develop feelings for the crown prince, he hung a portrait of him in our house and told me that all the good food, toys, and treats I got were thanks to the prince. As a little girl with wide eyes, I came to one simple conclusion. Crown Prince, you are my God. From then on, every time I ate, I developed a routine, putting my hands together in prayer and solemnly saying, "Thank you, Crown Prince, for the food. Amen." My father eventually realized my feelings were heading in a rather unexpected direction, so he pulled me aside to test the waters. Tell Daddy, do you like the Crown Prince? I do. He let out a sigh of relief and asked again, when you grow up, do you want to marry him?
No.
Why not? Don't you like him? I do. This conversation happened many times. Finally, my father changed tactics. He asked why I didn't want to marry him, if I liked him. With my soft, childish voice, I answered with a line that cut straight to the heart. Daddy, you like His Majesty too, but you didn't get to marry him, right? Yes, my father and the emperor had a rather unspoken past. Back then, my father was a second-rank censor, one of the few officials who could speak frankly to the emperor. One time, they had a heated argument over a policy. Yelling turned to scuffling. He choked the emperor tackled him. He punched His Majesty in the chest, His Majesty bit his backside. They ripped each other's clothes. My father groaned in pain. No eunuch or maid dared step in. After several hours, my father staggered out with torn clothes and a bruised body, eyes avoiding everyone. He'd been beaten badly, and his rank was dropped from 2nd to 5th. He insisted he didn't like the emperor. He was lying. But I said he did like His Majesty, because I was a child, and children don't lie. My father is a hopeless romantic. Every few days, he'd send a report to the palace just to check on the emperor's health. Always the same 4 characters. How is His Majesty? No matter how many memorials the emperor received, he could always pick out my father's in an instant and reply neatly with 2 characters in fresh cinnabar ink. I'm fine. My father was thrilled. He said that was called every word has a reply. I said, Dad, ever think maybe the emperor is just using your reports to test out his new brushes? My father grew suspicious. He submitted a memorial suggesting improvements to palace security. The reply came back the same. I'm fine. He was furious and stormed into the palace. He didn't come back until dawn the next day, holding his waist and groaning that the emperor had almost broken him. For someone who says he doesn't like the emperor, he sure enjoys getting beat up. Thanks to his influence, I too became a hopeless romantic. From a young age, I showed strong possessiveness toward the crown prince. My father tried to educate me, telling me that stealing the crown prince's allowance wasn't love. It was just being greedy. He was only half right. I wasn't just greedy, I was also thirsty. And the crown prince had both looks and money. I rubbed my hands together like a fly. I decided to confess my love at the palace banquet. It was the Mid-Autumn Festival, a night of reunion. The emperor invited my father and me to the palace. You know what that means?
It means he saw us as family.
And family doesn't need to hold back. So I went public with my private romance, hiding a love confession in my toast. The moon rises over the sea, and though far apart, we share this moment. We met by fate, grew close with honesty. I adore the crown prince. Wishing all joy and blessings this festive night.
Nice.
Everyone was smiling, calm and composed. A bit sudden, but maybe no one noticed.
Ha.
Too early to celebrate. The man in question stood with hands behind his back, robes fluttering in the evening breeze, long black hair swaying like silk, his eyes dark and unreadable. Ridiculous. We've only met twice. Once in childhood. Once now. Some people decide on their future children's names the moment they meet. I huffed. Mind your own business. I have my own rhythm. My dad gave me a thumbs up. It meant you're even bolder than me. The empress gave him a glare, then said to the crown prince, "Love forced is never sweet." I bit into a slice of chilled melon. Whether it's sweet or not doesn't matter. I like forcing it. The emperor burst into hearty laughter. He appreciated my bluntness and even brought up the astrologer's prophecy from 18 years ago. I got cocky. The crown prince and I were born on the same day. You think that's just a coincidence? Clearly, he likes me too. A dagger-sharp glare shot from the opposite side. Let's see who the jealous woman is this time. Oh, it's Jiang Ning, the niece of the imperial consort and the crown prince's sweetheart. Funny thing is, I accidentally helped their love story. Back when I was young and clueless, I thought the way to show affection was to make the crown prince cry, then comfort him afterward. Jiang Ning showed up before I got to the comforting part. So my flirting looked more like bullying. The crown prince, as a child, engraved the image of himself shielding her in his arms into his memory. He had no idea what kind of face she made behind his back. She mouthed at me, "I'll tell your dad." What a tattletale. Only the crown prince, that fool, saw her as his pure, untouchable love. Now he wanted to comfort Jiang Ning and not upset the emperor either. So he turned me down gently.
Sorry.
I've always seen you as a sister. Excuse me? Who's trying to be related to you? I rolled my eyes so hard they nearly popped out, and just then I caught a glimpse of that majestic yellow figure on the throne. 3 steps turned into 2, and I dropped into a dramatic kneel, hugging the emperor's leg with tears streaming down my face. Did you hear that, father? I'm your long-lost daughter. Father. The crown prince can prove it. My dad, who had been enjoying the drama, suddenly stood up and pointed at himself. Then what am I?
Crap.
Almost forgot about my dear old dad again. I quickly corrected myself. Yes, I'm the daughter of both my dad and His Majesty. 3. I was granted the title of Princess Jiai and entered the palace. My father was promoted to consort and entered the harem. The entire court was in an uproar. Civil and military officials jointly submitted petitions urging His Majesty to reconsider. But the emperor stood firm against the opposition. Would I not know my own daughter? I am her birth father, and Lord Liu is her foster father. What's wrong with that? Prime Minister Jiang stepped forward with a bow and quoted the sages. Even if Princess Jiai is legitimate, bringing a minister into the harem disrupts the order of the court. The emperor held his ground. Lord Liu raised my daughter alone for more than 10 years. If I just take her back now, wouldn't that be repaying kindness with betrayal? Wouldn't that end the Liu family line? I brought him into the palace so he can enjoy peace and comfort. It's about filial piety and gratitude. Jiang still wanted to argue, but the emperor suddenly changed the subject. Prime Minister, you're from Dunhuang, aren't you? The question came out of nowhere. Jiang looked confused and shook his head. From the golden dragon throne, the emperor's phoenix-like eyes narrowed. Then why are there so many murals? When Palace maid Xiongju recounted this, I couldn't help clapping my hands. Being the emperor sounds awesome. The chief eunuch brought over another batch of tribute jade from the northwest. It was the 5th round of rewards I'd received since entering the palace. He said, In all my years serving His Majesty, I've never seen anyone as favored as Princess Jai. Do I know if I'm favored? Of course I do. Even though rare treasures keep piling into my palace, the Emperor hasn't visited me once. He recognized me as his daughter, so easily just to gain something bigger. He took both me and my father into the palace like a buy-one-get-one deal. Every time the Emperor visits my father, I get a round of rewards. All the luxury I enjoy is just my father's post-bedtime income. Thinking of that, I pushed away the lychee meat Cheongju offered and took off the extravagant jewelry, emerald peacock necklace, Shoshan Tian Huang jade methria pendant, golden laid ornaments, and jade bracelets. I shot up from the couch. I can't keep slacking off. I came into this palace with a mission. 4. When the crown prince found me, I was hiding behind a rockery in the Eastern Palace. He was shirtless, practicing swordplay in the courtyard. The sword danced like weaving threads, stirring the breeze and scattering pink petals from the crepe myrtle tree. A few silently landed on my shoulder. Suddenly, a blade sliced through the air, heading straight for me. It cut off 2 strands of hair beside my ear. Princess Jai, how's my swordsmanship? The sound of the blade still echoed as I nervously stepped sideways. Very good. Xiao Huiqing gave a cold snort, spun the sword in a flourish, then rested it behind him, the danger in his eyes intensifying. First, you did everything to get my attention. Then you tricked the Emperor into letting you into the palace. Now you're dressed as a maid sneaking into the Eastern Palace. What exactly are you after? I was trapped between him and the rockery with nowhere to run. I poked his bare chest with a finger. To get close to you, of course, Crown Prince. He clearly wasn't expecting me to be so bold. The sword slipped from his hand and clanged to the ground. Flustered, he grabbed my hand. Jai, stop teasing me. If father accepted you, he must have his reasons. I accept you as my sister too.
Oh.
Giving up that easily? Wearing that little and still pretending to be pure. Who are you fooling? I seized the opportunity and ran my hands all over him, going straight for the kill. Couldn't help teasing. Wow, is this muscle? I don't have any of that. After that move, Xiao Huiqing turned completely red. Realizing he was losing control, he shoved me away hard. Guards, take Princess Jai to the imperial physician.
Huh?
Me, all fired up like a wolf. Looks like the one who's sick? What medicine? He spat out 2 words. Orthopedic treatment. Goddamn. I ran. Immediately. I pulled out a half-jade pendant I had just stolen off Xiao Huiqing and compared it to the one hanging around my neck. The patterns matched perfectly, fitting together seamlessly. My hands trembled with excitement. Father had just told me not long ago. Mother didn't die in childbirth. She's alive, and she's in the palace. The real reason I worked so hard to get in here was to find her. This jade pendant was her keepsake. Xiao Huiqing and I were born on the same day, same month, same year. And now he has the other half of the pendant. Could he be my twin brother? Could his mother be my mother too? 5. Known fact, Xiao Huiqing is the son of the Empress. If I'm his twin sister, then I too am a legitimate member of the royal bloodline. There'd be no reason to give me away to be raised by someone else. Conclusion: the twin theory doesn't hold up. Also, who says the jade pendant came from his mother? What if it was from his uncle? What if he just picked it up? What if he stole it? If I want to find my mother, I still have to trace the origin of the pendant. While I was still sorting this out, something happened on my father's end. The inner palace was full of schemes. My father was playing the palace intrigue game solo. To gain favor, he personally cooked meals to get the Emperor's attention. He'd been making baby food for me since I was little. Cooking was second nature to him. The Emperor was touched holding a bowl of plain rice porridge. He lived a pampered life, and even his plain food was bird's nest and shark fin porridge. He'd never tasted anything so bland. He said father was the first consort willing to get his hands dirty for him. So he treated father even better, kept him close at all times, ate and lived together, and even gave father the medicinal soup prepared by the noble consort. But no one expected that after drinking it, my father started foaming at the mouth and collapsed. He took a bullet for the emperor. Who would dare poison the son of heaven? Furious, the emperor locked the noble consort in the ancestral court and ordered a full investigation. In the hall of mental cultivation, father lay weakly on the imperial bed. The emperor had gone to court, and the maid was feeding him medicine from a golden bowl with a golden spoon. When I came in, he waved the servants away. I nudged him with my elbow. "Congrats, Dad. You've made it. Living the dream." He clutched his chest and coughed. "Easy. I'm still recovering." I rolled my eyes and jabbed him harder. "Cut the act. There are food tasters for the emperor. If it were really poisoned, why are you the only one affected? Besides, didn't you already know someone was tampering with his food?" The report he submitted looked like empty pleasantries, but was actually warning the emperor to be alert for changes in his health. So he schemed to stay by the emperor's side and acted out this suffering trick to expose the poisoner and eliminate the threat. Too bad the noble consort just happened to be the unlucky one. At court, her father, Prime Minister Jiang, wept and banged his head against a pillar to plead for her. Out of pity, other ministers joined in her defense. But the emperor used this opportunity to observe where everyone's loyalties lay, to see how many were aligned with Jiang. After I explained everything, my father's eyes shone with pride, like a father watching his daughter grow up. "No wonder you're a princess. You have a natural instinct for power struggles." I shot back. "You're not bad either. In palace dramas, you'd make it to the finale for sure." Clap, clap, clap. Suddenly, a round of applause startled both of us. The curtain lifted slightly, revealing the hem of a black robe. He walked toward us at a slow, steady pace, and with each step closer, I felt one step nearer to death. "See, Crown Prince, what are you doing here?" "6. Big brother Crown Prince, how long have you been here?" "All of it." "Huh. I heard everything. Stop testing me." "Oh." Xiao Huiqing wasn't stupid. In matters between ruler and subject, father and son, the hierarchy must be respected. His Majesty was using this incident to test Prime Minister Zhang's influence. Xiao Huiqing shouldn't have interfered, much less overstepped royal authority in any way. So, today's events were something he chose to turn a blind eye to. My father had taken a hit for the emperor, and Xiao Huiqing showed unprecedented respect. "We won't disturb consort Lu's rest. My sister and I will take our leave now." Grabbing my hand, Xiao Huiqing walked away in haste. He was in a hurry to see someone. In the imperial garden, snow-white blossoms and jade-green trees were in full bloom. Jiang Wannin wore a pale, elegant gauze dress. Her hem fluttered lightly in the wind, like a lotus just beginning to bloom. She frowned slightly at the gently swaying lotus leaves in the pond. The look on her face was exactly the kind Xiao Huiqing couldn't bear to see. The grip on my wrist tightened. Xiao Huiqing pressed his lips together and dragged me in front of Jiang Wannin. "Wannin, I swear I didn't give the jade pendant away. Jay must have stolen it while messing around." That half pendant had been with Xiao Huiqing since he could remember. He hadn't even given it to Jiang Wannin when she wanted it as a token of their love. He once told her, "You can have anything else, but not this pendant." Cunning man. The reason he never gave it to her was because it already belonged to someone else. Now that the pendant had gone missing, Jiang Wannin was overcome with jealousy. She accused him of falling for someone else and gifting it to some seductive vixen. Sorry to disappoint, but I am that seductive vixen. I'm the one who stole it. Xiao Huiqing's expression eased slightly. "Wannin, see? I really didn't lie to you." Before he could finish, I cut him off. "You think I stole a pendant?" "No, I stole the crown prince's heart. He kept it safe for all those years, and I snatched it away without even trying. If that's not favoritism, then what is?" Jiang Wannin's face changed. She stumbled back 2 steps as if the entire world had betrayed her. She covered her face with a handkerchief, her eyes brimming with tears. Just standing there like that, doing nothing, she still made me want to puke. "You," Xiao Huiqing shot me a glare and turned to comfort his wounded little clinging vine. Jiang Wannin pulled away from his touch. Your Highness, without your love, I'd rather die. Then she ran toward the lotus pond and jumped in. Damn, girl. Most people just say that kind of thing. You actually went and did it. Sensing trouble, I jumped in right after her. Plop. Plop. Xiao Huiqing was stuck. Save his childhood sweetheart, or his younger sister. The answer came quickly. By the time he lifted Jiang Wannin out of the water, my figure had already vanished beneath the surface. I let myself sink to the bottom of the pond, making no attempt to struggle. Better that one person's sacrifices than all three stay entangled. I vaguely heard palace maids calling for help, and then guards came and pulled me up. Along with me came the hem of my skirt, stuffed full of pearl mussels. I'd noticed before that eunuchs were sneaking around here late at night, fishing for something. After watching for a few days, I figured out there were pearl mussels at the bottom of the pond. I was terrified just now, thought Jiang Wannin wanted to fight me for them. She finally realized who the real Pearl Queen is. She cried out of pure spite. While Xiao Huiqing comforted his sobbing sweetheart and gave orders for the guards to continue patrolling, he still found time to scold me. Jie, I know you can swim, but can you not cause chaos and waste public resources? Not listening. Men only slow down my pearl hunting speed. I shook the water from my bangs, rolled up my sleeves, and got back to work. Then I froze. Why are all the mussels empty? 4 or 5 shells, all hollow. 2 even had oiled paper packets stuffed inside. I unfolded the layers of oiled paper, only to find powder. Xiao Huiqing's eyes darkened. He left Jiang Wannin behind and quickly strode over to me. He brushed the powder off my hands and dragged me to the pond's edge to wash. The imperial physician examined it. It was powdered datura. In small doses, datura can calm the nerves, ease asthma, and suppress coughs. Hua Tuo's legendary anesthesia powder even contained it. But in large quantities, it becomes toxic and deadly. Wrapped in layer upon layer of oiled paper, the powder that made it into the pond was minimal and wouldn't affect the fish or plants, which is why no one noticed. Xiao Huiqing and I locked eyes. We both thought of the emperor. Small doses over time would make one feel better at first, but the long-term effects could be devastating. Who could be tampering with His Majesty's food and drink without anyone noticing? 7. The palace eunuch who tasted the imperial meals killed himself out of guilt. He was found dead near Duatio Mountain, with traces of datura powder on his lips and a suicide note hidden under his sleeve. The note claimed he had poisoned the emperor using his position. The Imperial Household Department admitted negligence and took responsibility, rechecking the backgrounds of all palace servants. They discovered that Xiao Fuzi was once a servant of the former general. The former general was executed for treason along with his entire family. Xiao Fuzi had escaped by returning home to visit relatives and avoided the purge. To avenge his master, he forged a new identity and sneaked into the palace. With motive, opportunity, and weapon all lining up, the emperor declared the case closed. I circled around Duatio Mountain. It's not close to the eunuch's quarters. Did someone really have to run this far to commit suicide out of guilt? Father once said, when a wild goose passes, it leaves a sound. When water flows, it leaves ripples. A blinding beam of light shone, reflecting off the glazed tiles atop Chushio Palace, the residence of the noble consort. Xiao Huiqing caught up with me, shaking a fragrant sachet. Could you not be so careless? The guards almost picked this up. I squinted. The sunlight passed through the sachet, revealing the embroidered name inside. Lan Xian. If it had been anyone else, I might not have remembered. But this Lan Xian, I definitely knew her. She was the chief palace maid serving the noble consort. Once, by her mistress's order, she warned me not to ruin Jiang Wannin and Xiao Huiqing's relationship. I looked up at the bright, glazed roof of Chushio Palace. Duatio Mountain was far from the eunuch's quarters, but quite close to Chushio Palace. The next day, a corpse was carried out of Chushio Palace and sent to the pauper's burial ground. Lan Xian, a palace maid, had accidentally fallen from a ladder while hanging lanterns. She hit the back of her head, and died instantly. Whether it was truly an accident or a cover-up, only she knew. Two figures appeared at my chamber door. One was Cheongju, the other cloaked and faceless. Princess, the palace gates just closed. The maids were delayed on the way. I pressed my finger to my lips to signal silence, quietly letting them in and shutting the door. The cloaked woman knelt immediately upon seeing me, pulling off her hood to reveal a face drained of all color. Thank you, Princess, for saving my life. Lan Xin can never repay you. Just as I suspected, the noble consort would never let anyone who knew her secret live. Lan Xin had taken the fake death medicine I gave her to fool the consort. Cheongju had followed her to the pauper's burial ground, given her the antidote, and brought her back. I returned the sachet to its owner. We agreed. You owe me your life, and you exposed the noble consort's poisoning. Datura powder has a distinct smell, but the consorts regularly prepared medicinal meals for the emperor conveniently masked it. Xiao Fuzi was killed by Lan Xin under the consort's orders. On the day of the incident, Lan Xin had lured Xiao Fuzi to Duatio Mountain, falsely promising to replace him with an anonymous corpse to fake his death and arrange for a secret escape. Xiao Fuzi believed it wholeheartedly. He thought that having the consort's leverage meant he could at least negotiate terms. He only wanted one thing, his life. He didn't know that anyone who did the consort's dirty work, whether successful or not, had only one outcome: death. Lan Xin hadn't expected that even a large dose of datura powder wouldn't kill him outright. She covered Xiao Fuzi's mouth tightly and watched helplessly as the poison took effect, failing to notice her own sachet being loosened to her waist by him. In his dilated eyes, she saw her own impending death. Lan Xin said, "The noble consort knows well that following the trail will lead to ruin." The person who delivered the poison to Xiao Fuzi wasn't one of her close attendants. Datura was forbidden in the palace. The poison powder was smuggled in from outside. I pondered this. Many come and go in the palace frequently, but who would dare conspire with the noble consort in such treason? Jiang Wannin, the dutiful niece who regularly visited her aunt in the palace. I recalled the day at the imperial garden when I jumped into the lotus pond and found the pearl mussels concealing poison. It was her who led me there. She was helping the consort. But why would she betray her?
8.
Jiang Wanling was summoned into the palace by the noble consort. Lan Xin told me that the noble consort usually bathed around the hour of the goat, so I took the chance to hide in the shadow behind a folding screen. She bathed for so long that I started to want to bathe too. The folding screen was painted with 100 flowers. I counted each flower over 50 times. Every flower had a stem, which somehow made me laugh inexplicably. I ended up laughing over 5,000 times. Just as I was about to laugh for the 5,001st time, the noble consort finally returned, and the story began to move forward. The crisp sound of a slap ignited my gossip-loving soul. You've been too good to me, and yet you dare to betray me. Before the noble consort could say what she was accusing her of, Jiang Wanling started to explain. Niece is innocent. That day in the imperial garden, I really did fall into the water by accident. Who knew Princess Jai would jump in after me? The noble consort snorted coldly. An accident, is it? Then tell me, what's with all those pearl clams at the bottom of the pond? Isn't it that you deliberately made things difficult, causing Xiao Fuzi to be delayed in the lotus pond? What if Princess Jai had found out? Auntie, I prepared extra pearl clams to cover it up and mislead people. Ah. Jiang Wanling screamed, and I saw through the crack in the folding screen that the noble consort had stomped mercilessly on her hand with her foot. You call me auntie at every turn. Do you really think you're a noble lady? Our Jiang family kindly raised you, a girl no one wanted, sent you to school, and trained you to be the finest young lady in the city, all so you could get close to the crown prince and repay the Jiang family, not so you could betray us for some poor scholar. The noble consort's brother was weak and sickly. He had adopted an orphan girl as a lifeline, but after he died, Jiang Wanling was raised by the prime minister. Later, I learned Jiang Wanling could attract the crown prince's attention because the Jiang family trained her. They studied his tastes, preferences, even his temper, Everything she showed was carefully designed. She had known since childhood that she lived only to become the crown princess. Until fate bound her, and she met the one person who made her open her heart at school. He's not some poor scholar. He has a beautiful name, Wenjue. Wenjue was the only one who truly understood Jiang Wanling. That silly boy had read and reread all her poems and essays hundreds of times. And only then could he see past the polished words to the broken pieces of her and piece them back together. Everyone has been young once. The noble consort was the first to notice Jiang Wanling's feelings and pretended to help her elope with Wenjue, secretly notifying the family. Wenjue was beaten to death, right in front of Jiang Wanling. Prime Minister Jiang wanted her to know that human life was worthless to him, and anyone who obstructed his plans must die, including Jiang Wanling. The noble consort sneered. So it really was for him. Wanling, I warned you. Men are just toys to play with. Why didn't you listen? You betrayed the Jiang family for him. Do you expect to survive? I heard the noble consort order Jiang Wanling to be drowned, then, as usual, to stage it as an accident. The righteous heroine would never allow such a thing to happen. Jiang Wanling was the key witness in the poisoning case. Only she could bring down the noble consort. Desperate, I accidentally knocked over the folding screen with my big backside. With a loud crash, everyone in the hall turned to look at me. I scratched my head and put on a confused expression. Where's this? I'm lost. They looked at me knowingly. Don't believe me? Then I'll say it again. Where is this? Have I traveled through time?
9.
I couldn't explain what time travel meant, because my childhood friend never explained it to me either. When we said goodbye, he only said he needed to return to the original world. I believed him right away, but no one believes me when I say it. 2 palace maids dragged me to kneel beside Jiang Wanling. The noble consort grabbed my chin and forced me to look up. The sharp flower hairpin on her armor traced patterns on my face. Did you hear everything? No, I didn't. I forgot my hearing aids at home. Give me a chance to go get them. Pathetic, I know. Someone laughed. Even Jiang Wanling gave me a disdainful glance. Trash. The noble consort's harsh voice sounded. She signaled to the maids. Princess Jai is new here. She got lost in the palace and accidentally fell into the lotus pond and drowned. The maids understood and moved to seize me. I used the trick I used on the emperor, hugging the noble consort's leg. Mother, I am your long-lost daughter. Old tricks don't fail if they're well used. I had done my background check long ago. The noble consort has no children, but she is not infertile. She once was pregnant with a daughter, but lost the baby by accident. I pulled a stone from my pouch. The noble consort waved her sleeve to cover her face.
What?
Are you going to hit me? No, this is a prop for my story. I immediately put on a pitiful expression and began my tale. My father told me since I was little that I was born from a crack in a stone, and I have always cherished this stone like my mother. Until mid-autumn eve, my father told me my mother was not dead. She was in the palace. Unfortunately, no one knew which palace or who she really was. I had to search aimlessly. Finally, I learned that the noble consort once had a daughter who was switched by villains and taken out of the palace right after I was born. Mother, daughter has finally found you. Everyone sighed. The noble consort reached out, hesitated, took the stone in my palm, and then threw it away.
How dare she?
I was about to lose it, but she looked in the direction the stone disappeared and whispered with slightly parted red lips. Your mother is gone. I was speechless. Jiang Wanling whispered to me. The noble consort's daughter was miscarried, never born. I was stunned. How would they know it was a daughter? Maybe because she loved spicy food? Superstitions kill. The noble consort sneered contemptuously. Do you take me for that stupid emperor? Believing every ridiculous story. She didn't know I never expected her to believe it. I was just buying time. Outside the door there was chaos. Your Highness the Crown Prince, you can't go in? Hee, finally here, my good big brother.
10.
Previously, the emperor had only pretended to close the poisoning case, intending to make the mastermind complacent. Xiao Huijing, under the emperor's orders, secretly investigated the truth behind the poisoning. Since I noticed little Fuzi acting suspiciously by the lotus pond, he naturally noticed as well. He arranged for people to guard the lotus pond day and night, discovering that Jiang Wannian was the contact for little Fuzi. They were extremely careful, using pearl clams as a substitute for meetings to pass the poison. So when Xiao Huijing saw the datura powder from the clam shell on my hand, his first reaction was to have me wash it off. He had long suspected the noble consort because she had a clear motive for regicide. The miscarriage years ago was not an accident. It was caused by the emperor forcibly making her drink abortifacient soup. Enduring the pain of losing her child in the lonely palace, she was left unable to bear children afterward. Zhang the Chancellor thought the noble consort had lost all value and gradually neglected her, his daughter. The noble consort hated the emperor deeply and blamed him for everything. Now, with both witness testimony and physical evidence, including the statements of Jiang Wannian and Lan Xian, the noble consort could not escape the charge of regicide. Xiao Huijing appeared to close the net, and the guards surrounded the Chuxiu palace tightly. He didn't even glance at Jiang Wannian, strode forward, grabbed my arm, lifted me from the ground, and thoughtfully dusted off the dirt from my skirt. The childhood friend was ruined. Do you see, sister? Xiao Huijing's expression changed rapidly. When his eyes landed on the red scar on my face caused by the armor, he waved his hand dismissively. I heard the noble consort scream, but my view was blocked by Xiao Huijing's turning body. A faint smell of blood filled the air. A voice from above carried a hint of satisfaction. The noble consort refused arrest and, during the struggle, accidentally disfigure herself. She has been imprisoned to await the emperor's judgment. The guards responded and arrested the noble consort and all her accomplices. I tried to plead for Jiang Wannian, saying she was helpless and did not intend to harm the emperor. Brother Crown Prince, aren't you fond of Miss Jiang? Could you show mercy, for old time's sake? The air suddenly turned cold. Xiao Huijing grasped my shoulders, lowered his head, and looked me in the eyes. Jia Yi, I only accepted Jiang Wannian's favor to see what the Jiang family's intentions were. I do not like her. I looked at him steadily. I don't care who you like. 11. There are no walls in the palace that don't leak secrets. The noble consort's scandalous affair and her betrayal of the royal bloodline had spread. The emperor, mindful of Chancellor Zhang's meritorious service, was lenient and only removed the child she carried. But she was unrepentant and attempted regicide. She deserved death without pardon. The emperor specially gifted a cup of poison wine to preserve dignity. Before dying, the noble consort argued for herself. She claimed the emperor feared the prime minister's power and deliberately neglected her, so she sought solace in the palace. Her mistake was indulging in licentiousness first. The emperor was a man of dignity and did not expose her bribery of the Internal Affairs Department or her liaison with a eunuch-disguised entertainer. It was her father, Chancellor Jiang, who smoothed things over. Evil people never see their own faults, only blame others like moths flying into a flame, doomed to perish without realizing it. The poison wine entered her body, and the noble consort fell. Compared to her, Jiang Wannian was much more sensible.
I went to see her one last time.
She seemed to have known her fate and smiled at me across the threshold. Don't be sad. Everyone has their destiny. I failed to win the crown prince's heart and now must move on to the next world's mission. Whether she truly went to another world or was erased, I don't know. Two great traitors emerged from Chancellor Zhang's household. How could he easily shake off the blame? The emperor was furious, and the ministers bowed in respect. Chancellor Jiang had a plan. He spoke slowly, with steady and sincere voice. Since the noble consort entered the palace, she belonged to the royal family, and her ties with her birth family have greatly weakened. My granddaughter has no blood relation to the Jiang family. I deeply regret such a great betrayal and am willing to resign as chancellor to prove my innocence and ease the emperor's mind. At once, the hall was in uproar. Ministers were shocked. The director of the Internal Affairs Bureau hurried forward. Lord Chancellor Jiang, how can this be blamed on you? Our laws hold that crimes committed by married-out daughters do not implicate their family, especially no blood relation. Their crimes are personal and have nothing to do with Lord Chancellor Jiang. The General of Cavalry concurred. Lord Chancellor Jiang is a pillar of our state. How can he lightly resign from his post? Such an act could shake the foundation of the country. The situation was clear. The court was divided into two camps. One side pleaded sincerely for Chancellor Jiang, kneeling or standing. The other, led by Xiao Huijing, opposed, and the debate was deadlocked. Ultimately, the emperor would decide. He observed the two factions carefully. The chancellor's case affected the entire court. Rashly stripping him of power could destabilize governance. After much thought, the emperor punished him for negligence, ordering him to stay secluded and reflect for several months, barred from interfering in politics during that time. This was a disguised removal of power. The ministers exchanged glances, and Chancellor Jiang's face turned ashen. The emperor's gaze swept over the ministers beside Chancellor Jiang, his tone resolute. Though ranks differ, we all share the country's rise and fall, glory and disgrace. I hope you all keep the people in your hearts and prioritize the greater good, so the nation may endure. A less diplomatic version. I remind you fools once more, cherish what you have while it lasts.
I sighed.
Neither the noble consort nor Jiang Wannian ever exposed the Jiang family, but Chancellor Jiang cleared himself completely. Clearly, he was the true instigator. Little Fuzi could pass all inspections to reach the emperor only because someone orchestrated it behind the scenes. The Internal Affairs Bureau, which manages unique assignments, was an important part of Chancellor Jiang's power base. If the entertainer who impregnated the noble consort was not arranged by Chancellor Jiang, would the Internal Affairs Bureau dare to become accomplices in disturbing the palace for the noble consort's selfish reasons? The Chancellor had intended for the noble consort to use her son to strengthen her natal family's power. He did not know the emperor had never touched his daughter. The path to the abyss is thorny and treacherous. Harming others brings harm to oneself. Retribution is inescapable. The gardener frequently entered the Prime Minister's mansion and finally replaced the mandrake flowers flourishing in the backyard with chrysanthemums. Mandrake's flower language, a doomed path of fate. From the day ambition clouded his heart, fate's wheel quietly turned. Chancellor Jiang's actions were superfluous. He should have planted pure white chrysanthemums from the start.
12.
Late in the season of late summer at the beginning of early autumn, the Prince of the Northern D personally came to request a marriage alliance. The Empress took particular notice. She had the Department of Imperial Household tailor a cloud-patterned, gold-woven Lucienne skirt for me and sent the most skilled senior palace, made to do my hair and makeup. Looking into the bronze mirror at my delicately made-up face, I was momentarily stunned. Cheongju's little mouth wouldn't stop praising me, as if I were smeared with honey. I forced a smile and glanced at the palace maid still arranging the ends of my hair. Cheongyao has served the Empress for over 10 years, so this double-ring celestial hair bun is styled perfectly. Cheongju and Cheongyao, names from the Book of Songs. Since I entered the palace, the Empress had planted a spy by my side. The jade pendant stolen from Xiao Huijing long ago vanished, along with my united identity, having been handed over by Cheongju to her true mistress. She was also the one who secretly helped Lan Xin enter the palace after the gates closed. Now that the Northern D prince was here, there was no point in hiding anything. The royal bloodline was weak. Only Xiao Huijing was the emperor's son, and diplomatic ties with neighboring countries were limited. A marriage alliance was the emperor's real reason for adopting me as a princess. The palace held a banquet to entertain the Northern D prince. I was dressed splendidly, and Wanyan Che's gaze followed me closely as I took my seat. It was clear my outfit today hit all his aesthetic points perfectly. The emperor finally relaxed, nodding to the Empress in satisfaction, then introduced Wanyan Che. This is my only daughter. The emphasis on only was meant to highlight my noble status as a princess and imply that marrying me would surely strengthen relations between the two countries. The Empress played along, and between the toasts and exchanges, The marriage was nearly settled. My father sat alone, drinking one cup after another, and drunkenly embarrassed the emperor in public. My daughter Lu Ming will never marry far away. Wan Yen-che looked him over suspiciously. You? Your daughter? Xiao Huijing's explanation was awkward. The prince doesn't know. Princess Jai is the daughter of the emperor and consort Lu. He thought the complicated family background would scare Wan Yen-che off. He didn't understand that twisted love was far more interesting. Wan Yen-che immediately perked up. Our Northern D people are fierce and have the custom of a son marrying his father's widow. I was worried outsiders wouldn't accept this, but it seems Qing Kingdom is just as open-minded. Very good, very good. The emperor and he immediately reached an agreement and finalized the marriage. When the banquet ended, Xiao Huijing pulled me into a corner, pinning me against the wall. The stench of alcohol hit me, and I frowned unhappily. Jai is now the Northern D Prince's fiancé. Brother Crown Prince, please show some respect. He punched the wall in frustration, then pitifully called me. Jai, you know I care for you. Yes, I knew. When we were children, though Xiao Huijing rarely saw me, he kept every love letter I sent to the palace. He remembered I could swim and knew I liked the freedom of splashing in water, so after I jumped into the lotus pond following Jiang Wanning, he let me indulge for a while. Before the banquet, I had deliberately gone to the Eastern Palace to play the victim, hoping he would fight for my freedom. After all, diplomacy wasn't limited to marriage alliances. Why didn't he go be a hostage prince instead? I pushed him away. Xiao Huijing, your love is nothing more than this. In this world, the only ones who give unconditional love are parents. My father and the emperor had a big fight. He said, Jai is marrying alone into Northern D with no support. You might as well marry me off too. Then we'd look after each other. The emperor was so angry he nearly vomited blood, lost control, and slapped my father. He regretted it immediately, but my father was undeterred. My father shouted even louder. The emperor was helpless and put him under house arrest. By imperial decree, I was ordered to take Wan Yen-che to see the countryside and experience the local customs of Daqing. Along with us came a note from my father. Little goose, kai kai lo lo. I accepted it with a dark expression. 13. What's there to see in the countryside anyway? Novels have already ruined it. Wan Yen-che said he wanted to go out to sea. The emperor specially approved a large ship. Wan Yen-che and I stood at the bow, overlooking the vast ocean, cutting through waves and riding the wind. The salty sea spray splashed on my face. I stuck out my tongue and tasted it. The taste of the sea, I recognized it. A light laugh came from beside me. Wan Yen-che, dressed in casual clothes, his black hair tied high with loose strands falling on his forehead, adding a hint of rebellious charm. He brought 2 fishing rods and invited me to go sea fishing. I squinted at the fake bait on my hook, then glanced at the lively sea worms wriggling on Wan Yen-che's hook. Ladies, just remember, when a man wants to show off his skills, we just let him. I played the silly beauty the whole time, eagerly calling for his help to create the illusion that I really needed him. Brother Wan Yen, what if the bait's gone? How do I cast the line? My arms are weak, can't throw far. Brother Wan Yen helped Jai. Jai can't do anything, so dumb. And, at the right moments, I gave him emotional support. Wow. Brother Wan Yen, your casting posture is so cool. How do you know how to do everything? It's so good to have you here. When he was annoyed after missing a big fish, I comforted him with care. Don't pressure yourself too much. You're already amazing. Sweet words and a tough heart. Easy ways to make a man your loyal dog. Wan Yen-che rushed back and forth, sweat shining on his forehead. He even worried I was thirsty and had someone prepare a fruit platter for me. I didn't catch a single fish, but obviously, I had him hooked. Suddenly a wave crashed, and I stumbled. Wan Yen-che caught me effortlessly in his arms, holding me tight and smiling slyly, showing his tiger teeth. Be careful, little dummy. I stared at him blankly. Ugh. Sorry, seasick. Just then, the anchor handler appeared, seemingly knowing what I was thinking, separating Wanyan Che and me to drop the anchor between us. The sea is deep and bottomless. Everyone be careful. Wanyan Che squinted at him. Not bad. Not as deep as the palace moat. I glanced at the sea surface. Let the emperor come. What kind of storms hasn't he seen? Why not let the crown prince come? That works, he loves the sea. The anchor handler's veins twitched. Then the unexpected happened. A huge wave rolled in. The boat tilted. I lost my balance and was pushed into the sea by a force. My swimming skills weren't enough in the ocean. I soon grew exhausted. Before losing consciousness, I saw someone desperately swimming toward me. It was the anchor handler. 14. My consciousness gradually returned. I opened my eyes, then closed them again. This repeated several times, but all I saw was pitch black. My body was bound, unable to move, burning hot all over. I sighed in despair. If I guessed right, I was now in the 6th layer, hell of fire. Something soft touched my earlobe, and I flinched slightly. Suddenly, Xiao Huijing's voice sounded coldly by my ear. Jiai, are you awake? I remained silent. How did I end up in hell still running into that dead dog? Memories surged. After falling into the sea, the anchor handler who swam to me had his painted mask washed away by seawater. It was actually Xiao Huijing. Born on the same year, month, and day. Died the same year, month, and day. What a curse. Suddenly, the heat binding me withdrew. A familiar touch brushed my forehead. Xiao Huijing said, "It's not burning anymore. People are dead. Who cares if it's burning or not?" Then he spent the time of burning one incense stick explaining that the waves had washed us onto a deserted island. We were in a cave, and it was nighttime. As for why no fire was lit.
What?
You say there's munitions deep inside the cave? Yeah, there's a hidden place inside with a considerable stockpile of explosives. I wanted to blow up. Are you crazy? Sleeping here is no different from digging your own grave. Aren't you afraid of a fire starting in this dry weather? Don't be mad. Your anger might ignite the munitions. Divine irony. Such a cold joke, it extinguished my rage. Xiao Huijing said this was the only hiding place, and since I was soaking wet and burning a fever, he had no choice but to use this desperate measure. All right, I forgave him. He then left the cave and shot a signal flare into the sky. The palace people will see this and come looking for us. My focus was on the fact this guy was hiding flammable explosives on him. He really didn't fear death. At that moment, I didn't yet know Xiao Huijing had already died once, so naturally, he wasn't afraid. The wind howled around the cave entrance, carrying a bone-chilling cold that sent shivers down my spine. I unconsciously cuddled closer to him, trying to get some warmth. A man's body really is warmer. I pressed myself against him like crazy, stroking every exposed inch of his skin with the palms and backs of my hands alternately. Xiao Huijing, you're like a little stove. His breathing was heavy. He squeezed my hand back. Don't move. I'm about to explode. 15. The Imperial Guards rescued us back to the palace, and the munitions were destroyed on the spot. For the first time, the Emperor got angry at me. Jai, you actually dared to jump into the sea to refuse the marriage. Do you not value your life? I explained, no, I do value life more. He didn't listen to my explanation. The Beatty northern nomads marriage escort convoy had already entered the city, bringing 20,000 camels, 1,000 horses, countless gold, silver, and jewels. The scale was huge, stretching 100 miles, showing how seriously they took marrying off the Princess of Qing. Fearing something might go wrong, the emperor confined me to the palace. At midnight, loud shouting and sounds of fighting broke the silence. I rushed to the window. A strong smell of blood hit me. Figures were intertwined amid flickering flames. Palace maids and eunuchs screamed in fear, running everywhere. Their footsteps were chaotic and urgent. My heart raced wildly. This was a long-planned palace coup. The Ministry of Internal Affairs had inside help, letting rebel soldiers in who carried orders from the cavalry general and used Prime Minister Zhang's banner. Cheongju and Cheongyao faced the crisis without fear, revealing their long-hidden skills. Princess, rest assured. The Lingyun guards have sworn to protect you to the death, they said. I was shocked. The Lingyun guards were the personal guards trained by the rebel general. Weren't they already wiped out? Even if some survived, why would they serve the royal family now? Before I could think further, they covered me as we ran all the way to the Yangxin Palace.
Wow, so many people.
Outside the palace, countless torches lit up the surroundings like daylight. Soldiers densely packed together, spear tips gleaming with cold, murderous intent in the firelight. Inside, the emperor, empress, my father Xiao Huijing, and I gathered together. This was the royal family's sense of honor, to die together. I silently shed tears. Xiao Huijing rubbed the top of my head. Nothing will happen. Yeah, right, I thought. Wang Yanche and Prime Minister Jiang stood on one side. That marriage escort convoy was actually Beatty cavalry in disguise. Anyone paying attention would have noticed that Wang Yanche visited the Prime Minister's residence on his first day in Qing. Could it be that this trip was not really for the marriage, but that Jiang's Prime Minister brought in allied forces? Xiao Huijing tried to comfort me. It's all going to be fine. I was confused. What does that mean? He asked. What did you see? I said, much better. Xiao Huijing looked proud, pleased with his comforting style. I rated his comforting skills an 8.4 out of 10, since there was a 1.6 missing. Hey, you two over there, stop flirting. Wang Yanche's sharp eyesight immediately locked onto us, nudging Prime Minister Jiang to get to the point. Jiang glared at my father with disdain. The emperor calmly shifted to block my father firmly. Originally, he had pretended to demote my father, and everyone thought the emperor and my father were at odds. My father took the opportunity to defect to Jiang, gaining trust and secretly reporting intelligence. But the spy network of Jiang discovered that my father reported a petition to strengthen palace defenses. Realizing he had been betrayed, Jiang plotted to kill. To be safe, the emperor brought my father and me into the palace for protection. That's how this commotion began. Jiang, hating to see those two men together, drew his sword pointing at the emperor. Xiaoyu, you are surrounded. Quickly write your abdication edict if you want to keep your body intact. The emperor responded casually. Why not just have the palace guards outside kill me? Are you afraid, or do you just not control them? The once arrogant cavalry general suddenly wilted, wishing he could hide himself. The emperor slowly pulled out half a tiger tally and raised it high, slamming it down with authority toward the palace gates. The tiger tally must be combined in two halves to verify orders to mobilize the army. I have kept this half all along. Who gave you the nerve to act on your own? Throughout history, tiger tallies were made in two halves, one held by the monarch, one by the general. Only when matched perfectly could armies be mobilized. Military law is strict. Disobeying a tiger tally order means execution of the entire 9 clans. General had a complete tiger tally when he mobilized the troops. Some soldiers realized the emperor's half can't be fake. We were deceived. Upon hearing this, the soldiers disarmed and surrendered en masse, a spectacular scene. Jiang angrily kicked the general. Useless trash, you can't even handle this small matter. Good thing I was prepared. Following his gaze, we saw 5,000 Beatty cavalry waiting outside in formation. Adding the Imperial Guards and Lingyun Guards, they still could not match this many elite soldiers. The emperor remained calm. Prime Minister Jiang, besides the tiger tally, do you remember another item was also split in two? Jiang's murky eyes suddenly widened, his sharp gaze locked on Xiao Huijing. He had insisted that Jiang Wanling obtain the crown prince's jade pendant because the pattern was said to point to the treasures of Daqing. The pendant Jiang failed to get appeared intact in Wang Yanche's hand. The emperor's voice grew excited. The support of allies is the true treasure. Wang Yanche cupped his hands in salute. In the past, when Beatty was on the verge of extinction, the emperor sent troops to help. Now Qing is in trouble. Beatty naturally shares fate and fortune with us. I looked shocked at the empress's back. She had the jade pendant taken by Cheongju for this day. My father raised an eyebrow at me. He had me enter the palace to unite the two halves of the pendant. I glanced at Xiao Huijing. His calmness was just as it was when stranded in the cave. Jiang suddenly realized, furious to the point of vomiting blood. Wan Yanche, you treacherous brat, you deliberately leaked the munitions I hid in the cave. From the start, Wan Yanche had been on the emperor's side. They planned this to fool Jiang's spies in the palace. Everyone knew, except me.
Just like my own origin story. 16.
In the 25th year of Qingli, with Wan Yanche's assistance, the emperor crushed the rebellion and punished the prime minister and his core faction with severe penalties. For officials who were either misled or forced into the rebellion, a lenient approach was adopted to demonstrate the emperor's magnanimity. Now, the ruler and ministers are united, the government runs smoothly, and the court is as stable as Mount Tai. The emperor was overjoyed and decided to abdicate. I was shocked. So sudden? Seeing me, he remembered something important. Before that, I must restore the late general's honor and reinstate his widow and descendants. The widow he mentioned was Empress Pei. Back then, Prime Minister Jiang fabricated evidence to frame the general for treason, eliminating the general's entire clan under the pretext of purging threats to the throne. The emperor, entrusted by the general, protected Pei by forging an identity for her and bringing her into the harem. Jiang was ambitious and schemed privately with court officials, spreading rumors that the emperor had no heirs as a sign of divine displeasure with his rule. To counter this, the emperor intended to adopt a royal clan child to silence Jiang. Upon learning Pei was pregnant with the late general's posthumous child, the emperor decided, if it's a boy, he would become the crown prince. If a girl, she would swap places with the clan child. Either way, Pei would become empress by virtue of her child status, overshadowing the arrogant imperial consort and curbing Jiang's arrogance. I was the girl swapped with the clan child. Xiao Huijing was that clan child. The emperor also wanted to keep me, publicly claiming we were twins. My mother disagreed. Although deeply reluctant, she insisted I be sent away with a hint of reason. Having been in the palace long enough, she knew its towering walls were a gilded cage. She said, my daughter is no bird in a cage. She shouldn't be confined here. She wished me freedom and happiness. Mother split the jade pendant my father got supporting Beatty into two halves, one half for me, one half for Xiao Huijing. I was entrusted to Lord Lu Ming, the emperor's most trusted official, gaining another caring father. My father patted my back. After years together, he saw my hesitation immediately. Z, do you feel the burden of being a general's descendant? Don't stress. As a loyal heir, people will only respect and love you. My mother held my hand. Z, if you don't want this, just say so. Everyone is an independent being. The honor of your ancestors carries responsibility, but no one has the right to impose it on you. My father taught me to have courage for everything, and my mother told me I had the right not to do anything. I responded firmly, just restore the general's honor. Xiao Huijing looked at me with a dim gaze. If I was protected by the general's honor, being on the same side as anyone would be overinterpreted as favoritism or power alignment. If I supported Xiao Huijing, perhaps his throne would gain more loyal ministers. He would also draw closer to me to consolidate his rule. I didn't want his closeness to be purposeful. I didn't want to suspect him. The emperor decisively agreed, wrote the abdication edict, and eagerly handed it to Xiao Huijing. Under his robe, he tightly held my father's hand. In this fleeting world of 3,000, my love is threefold: the sun, the moon, and you. I know your intention. This was the meaning behind Xiao Huijing's and my names. 17. Xiao Huijing ascended the throne. I chose to travel far and wide, experiencing different customs and landscapes, rather than being confined within the palace walls. No longer burdened by court formalities, no longer suppressing my true thoughts and feelings to please others, I felt an unprecedented freedom. Life is long. One must go out, see the world, meet its people, and find oneself. Sometimes I recalled Xiao Huijing's parting words. Z, can you be my eyes to see the world? If not, it's okay. I can still watch the sky and earth behind the palace walls. He was rather pitiful. In my free time, I wrote letters to Xiao Huijing, describing the world and its people as I saw them. The Torch Festival in the southwest is fascinating. People dance around bonfires, celebrating harvests and praying for good luck. In Nanzhao, a special black pigment is used by locals to smear on each other, washing away bad luck and welcoming a bright future. In Li villages, men, women, young and old jump joyfully between bamboo poles without hierarchy or class distinctions. Oh, Wan Yen-che invited me to ride camels in Beatty. Xiao Huijing's extra. I never told Ziyi. We met twice, once in a past life, once in this one. In that past life, I was drawn to Ziyi, but she was killed by a conquering woman. In this life, I restrained myself, only hoping she would be well. When Ziyi was about to leave, I wanted to impose memories of our past love, imprison her with guilt, crown her empress, and lock her with palace rules. Begging her to look at me, begging her to love me. But I couldn't. Being emperor comes with countless unavoidable burdens. So does being empress. I am not free, but I want the one I love to be free. Receiving Z's letters, I was so happy I nearly went mad. She truly wanted to be my eyes to see the world. In just a few lines, I repeatedly pondered, studying her handwriting and strokes. My heart was heavy like a boulder, unable to ignore the last line. She said she was going to find Wan Yen-che. The thought of that cunning brat riding a camel with Z almost broke me. I've been endlessly correcting memorials, my eyes burning from the emperor's red ink stamps, all bearing Z's name. I pushed all the memorials to the retired emperor, accidentally knocking over his freshly shelled melon seeds. A familiar voice echoed from the inner palace. 100 seeds, one missing, heavy peeling. The retired emperor asked where I was going. To chase my wife.
The end.